evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday. It's 6:30-ish. And I'm back with my weekly live show. I'll say it now and I'll repeat myself at the end of the week. There will not be a live show next Thursday. I'm going on holiday, okay? So, the next show will be in 2 weeks. I'll repeat myself at the end of the show, but I say it now so that I don't forget. We're starting the show with 3 viewers, which is brilliant. I never had that many viewers at the start of the show before, I don't think. So say hello in the comments and I'll shout hello back. I'll give a shout out. Her name is just going across the bottom of the screen there. You can see it just down there. Maurice, you are my currently only patron, but you get a shout out in the live show, so thank you very much for that. I know you're watching along and I can't wait to see what it is you're working on today. And yeah, if you've been watching my Instagram feed or my Facebook feed, the 2K build is finished. So that's all done. Yeah. So what are we going to work on now? But I tell you what, before we go on to that, because you can see that I do have a little Forge World thing, but there is a little line across there, so you can't actually see what it is yet. Yeah, I'm sneaky like that. So why do you want to see what the big 2K build looks like when it's finished? If you haven't already seen it all over Facebook and Instagram, I tell you what, we'll have a quick go through, have a look at some of these pictures, shall we? Because I think these I'm really chuffed with these. They've come out all right. They've done really well. I'm really chuffed with this. So have a look through these and give a shout out if you like it. And if you like one of the pictures, hit the like button at the bottom of the the stream here. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you like them. There's a lot of pictures on here, and I might not go through them all. And actually, if I've got Christopher, if Christopher currently watching, who is asking me about my Captain Slamgonius's build, say hello in the comments. Let me know you're here. And just before we get on with the rest of the show, I will tell you exactly what part of the model is what and where it came from. If you let me know you're in the comments, and I'll let you know. So yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with these. I mean, those Inceptors, they were the bane of my existence for 2 weeks while I was trying to get them done. But I think they've come out alright. There are a few kit bashes in this actually. The lieutenant for a start there. He's a bit of a kit bash with some Def Company and some tactical bits and pieces. Just to make a lieutenant, because you can't buy a regular lieutenant in Mark 8 armor. Hello, Tim. Welcome back. The 3 tanks, there's been a few comments about those tanks, so people are quite liking them. They don't see them very often, which is quite nice. Yeah, so I'm quite chuffed with these, with this big 2K build. I mean, I'm a little bit late. I mean, I didn't quite finish within the July deadline as I wanted to, but I wanted to anyway. I tried to get them done by July, but I think a month is okay. I mean, there was a lot going on. So I tell you what, that's enough of those today. If there's anything specific you want to see again, let me know, and we will go back to them later. So I don't know if that Christopher from Facebook is currently watching, but for anybody who might be interested, or maybe he wants to come in and have a look later, shall we bring Captain Slam down here? There we go. Right, I tell you what we'll do is, if we move the camera, bring it down nice and close, and we'll have to mess around with focus as well, because we can have a real look about what this model is and what went into him, because people really do like this model. And I've got to say thank you to Reese, because she did help me with getting some of the pieces for this guy. Let's get the light on him. There we go. How's that? There we are. Look at that. I'm quite chuffed with this guy. He worked out really nicely. So if anybody's wanting to know, we'll start with the base. The base is a plaster cast rock from Woodland Scenics. And the wing here is, again, it's another plaster cast thing. That was something off of, I think I got it off of Wish, actually, to be honest. It's a Sugarcraft mould, silicon Sugarcraft mould. It was a pair of wings, and I decided to cast that off and break it up so that it looks like, yeah, I don't know, some sort of rocky fascia wing thing. You know, they are angels after all. We'll move up to the legs. These are Def Company legs, found in the Def Company box, obviously. And we move up to the torso. The torso is a Blood Angel upgrade sprue piece. I mean, I'm going to have to turn off the autofocus though, because it's really struggling, isn't it? So let me just turn off the autofocus for a second. Focus. There we go. Turn off that. There we go. Right, so yeah, the torso is a Blood Angel upgrade sprue, as well as both of his pauldrons here. That one and that one. And the cross that's on there, the red cross, that was free-handed. Go. Ah, basic miniature painting, welcome. So we're moving on to his weapons. We have both of these weapons, the Storm Shield and the Thunder Hammer. That's not in focus because it's too close. There we go. That is from Vanguard Veteran Squad. This arm here is from the Death Company box, I believe. And if you actually really look closely, this arm, apart from the fact it won't focus, is actually a Primaris Marine arm from the Intercessor box, cut off at the wrist, because it was the only way that I could find an arm at that kind of angle. You know, the one that kind of juts out to the side a little bit. I did try with a an arm from the Death Company box, or from the tactical box. It was a dodgy way of look. It was a dodgy arm. It was all really too close, and he had to kind of lift it up like that, and it just really didn't work. So it's a Primaris Marine arm. His head is from the Death Company box, as is the jump pack, which isn't in focus because it's too close. Alright, so that's a breakdown of the model. Yeah, and if you want to know, what I might do is, I've had a lot of people asking about the makeup of this model. So if you head on over to Instagram and Facebook, give me some time to get the live show out of the way, I will actually put a breakdown of this model down, because a lot of people do often ask about Captain Slams and how they're made, and people kit bashing them together and don't know how to do it. So I think it's only fair. I'm going to break it down, and I'll let you know exactly what pieces from where, written down, so you can do what you want with that information. Alright, so we'll move on, and I'll reply to you, Basic. It's going fine. I've finished the 2K build now, which I am totally stoked about, and we're going to be moving on once I can sort out this camera, get my lights out of the way, bring this back in here. Whoops, that's a bit low, isn't it? It's going to be too low. Put that back to roughly where it should be. There we go. Before we move on to the new project. Now, there's something else I was going to do as well, as about my live feed, is that my normally what I have been doing recently is I have been doing whatever I've got on the bench at the time, and I will do that, and that'll be done. The problem is with doing it that way is that often you'll see me do something in a live show, and then the next time you see my live show a week later, I've finished and I've moved on. And the only time you can see the model is if you go on the Instagram and Facebook, which is great for me because it improves my traffic. But for you guys watching, you don't really get any kind of what's the word? Flow, for better words, to what you're watching. You're watching one thing one week, and you're watching something completely different the next week. So here's the plan, and it's going to start with this model here, which I haven't told you what it is yet, but I will in just a moment. Is this model is going to be my live project. And this is what we're going to go on further on down the future for everything that I do in my live shows. It's the only thing that you'll see me do on my live shows. Now, I will be doing my commission work during the day, and I'll do my own hobby stuff during the evenings and weekends, and you'll be able to follow along those in picture format on Facebook and Patreon, not Patreon, on Instagram, and you'll be able to follow along with those projects as I progress through them. But my live shows will be purely on my live shows. This model, we're going to mess around with it tonight, and I'll put it down and I will not touch it again until I'm live on the following show, in which case we'll pick it back up and start exactly where we left off. And that means that you guys who want to watch every week, which you have done with Reese and Tim specifically, you've been here every week and you're watching it through, so you'll see this model from start to finish live. Okay, now we might go, there was some things you won't see me do. I won't be doing my airbrushing live because that's at the other side of the room. I can't get my microphone over there, and I can get a camera over there, but I couldn't get me my mic over there, and I wouldn't be able to watch the comments. So it would end up being a camera over there watching me airbrush, and that's pretty much it. Okay, excuse me. So if you like that idea, I won't be here for too long. Oh, that's fair enough. Yeah, come and watch it and you can catch up. So yeah, so that's what the live shows are going to be about. If you like that idea, let me know in the comments, so that I know that I'm on the right track. But the plan is, and we're doing this model first. It's only a little model, as you can see, and then in the future we might start doing bigger and bigger things. I've got lots of things in my head at the minute. I'm thinking of doing maybe some Primarchs and stuff in the future from Forge World. I won't only do Forge World stuff, mind you. I will do other things, and we'll do, but there will all be individual projects that I will build from box to finish live, and I won't touch it between the live shows unless I let you know what I'm going to do. Maybe something's being a bit complicated perhaps, and I need to concentrate really hard on it, or perhaps, I mean, it depends, we might start doing some more complicated things about maybe things like wet blending and stuff, and I need to learn that as yet. But I'm thinking perhaps if I did something along the lines of a Flying Hive Tyrant or a Bloodthirster, and I want to wet blend the wings a bit, that could be quite boring, I think, for live shows, because you'll see me do maybe one section of a wing wet blending, but that might take me all show, and then the following week I then need to move on to the next section. So essentially you could end up getting about 6 weeks worth of live shows where I'm essentially doing exactly the same thing. We'll chat about that if we get to that kind of stage. There's nothing like that going to happen on this one, but it's something to bear in mind maybe for the future. You see, I've got plenty of plans for the future, so if you stick with me, you can all watch along from now. But I think you've waited long enough, so shall I let you know what I've got in this Forge World box? Shall we move on to that now, and we can start planning on what we're going to do? So let's get that bigger. There we are. And I was mean, because I did mark out what it is with my little silver Sharpie. So we'll move on to this. So this will be the project that we're going to do. Now if I turn this over, I don't know if you can see what that is in there. I have opened this already because I needed to put some parts away. These are some bits and pieces that I got off of eBay for this particular model. Alright, so we'll put that to one side for a moment because we'll get the Forge World bits out first. And this is, I got it just as it was last chance to buy, is I've got a Mark IV Chaplain Dreadnought here, which is what we're going to do. This is going to be the first project, and I will start it tonight. We'll start building it tonight. Next time you see it, it should be primed and base coated, depending on if we get it built tonight. And in 2 weeks time I will continue on, and this is a project we will do from start to finish. I hope you all like the idea of this, because it's a bit late now because I've started it. Right, so let's get this all out of the box and we'll have a look at what we've got in here. Now I am not building this as a Chaplain Dreadnought. as most of you followers will know, I am a Blood Angels player. And why I did like the idea of this model, we can see there's the sarcophagus and main body of it here, is I had the idea that instead of turning this into a Chaplain Dread like everybody would normally do, is I'm thinking about building this as, or more to the point, as painting this and building it, I suppose, as a Death Company Dreadnought. So, I just saw, what's this, Tim? I just saw a GW YouTube clip of Forge World resin models. Next level modelling. There will be some extra modelling on this as well, because just before I came on live, I wanted to have a look at the pieces that I wanted to add to this, which is what I've got in this little baggie here. I do have some, if I can get the light out of it, some Dreadnought arms. These are from the Furiosa Dreadnought box. We've got some Blood Talons down here. There's a heavy flamer there. And I am going to try and get a Magna Grapple on the top of this Chaplain Dread body. Now, I did have a look and quickly just pushed it together to see if it will fit on there. I might be able to get it on there, but we might have to do a bit of scraping and moulding down there. Hopefully nothing too strenuous, because this is fresh out the box. I haven't even cleaned this yet. This show today is going to all be clipping this off, cleaning off the mould lines and cleaning off any flashing that we've got, dry fitting things together and seeing if we can get this into some sort of semblance of a Death Company Dreadnought. So I hope you like the idea of that. I hope you're all going to follow along. And oh my goodness, I've just had a quick look over at the YouTube feed. I've now got 7 people watching. I think we've just broken my personal record for how many people are watching this, so thank you very much for tuning in. Working with green stuff, sanding paper to fit the model together. Yep, right, so basically what I do have knocking around here, if I can find it. Okay, I've got some somewhere. I've got some liquid green stuff knocking around. Oh, it's on my other shelf. So if we need it, the tools I should need to do if I need it. I've got some liquid green stuff just for filling in some gaps. Sanding paper I don't necessarily use, but I do use these things. I love these things. These, as you can see, they've been used. You get these from, you know, pound shops or dollar stores from the other side of the road for cleaning your nails. You get a bunch of them for about £1. It's brilliant. I might need my saw, my little hobby saw, which is knocking around here just to be on the case side. I do have a ball in case there's anything that I need to poke, and I have my trusty knife, and as usual I do have my cutters to hand. So I think we best get on with this now. I think I've rattled on enough, so don't forget I'm here for questions as well as we get on with this. This is what the whole reason for my live show is. So yeah, we're going to get started on this, and I think to start with what I want to do is I just need to clean these things up, I think. So we're going to get on with that. Any questions about Forge World resin and so on and so forth, throw them in the comments. Any questions about what I'm doing, throw them in the comments. I'm all here. I don't have a dust mask available to me right now, however I would advise it. Whey! Well, that came off. I don't think I should be doing much sanding, to be honest, but if I do, I will take precautions. Wow, this is really, I tell you what, one of the things actually what I've literally just noticed about this model, and I don't know, I mean, Forge World have stopped doing their dreadnoughts, so I don't know if this is a big problem, but on the back of this dreadnought there is a thumping great, hang on, where did that thing that fly off, look at the size of how that was connected. Now normally, as you can see on here, they use quite small amounts of resin to connect bits and pieces. You know, I am surprised at how big, even here, look, even here, you need to cut that bit off there and so it's got thinner. You've got a big chunk there, and it's gone thinner to the piece that you need. But for some reason on this body, it's got a massive chunk of resin. One thing I would say actually, before you start pulling, working with the resin for Forge World, is I would just have a look actually at the model to make sure that everything is in good order. Make sure you haven't got any miscasts or anything, or any air bubbles that you can't fix. I haven't, again, I mean, I literally, this first time it's actually been out of the packet. I did open the packaging, but I never actually took it out to have a look at it. And this one looks like it's in pretty good condition actually. There doesn't really seem to be any issues with the mold or with the casting, which is good. Hi, CJ's 210. What's going on? Well, what I'm doing is I am building a Forge World Mark IV Chaplain Dreadnought, and this is the start of a new project after my big 2K build has been finished. And you'll be able to tune in every week to see this from start to finish. This live show is the only time I'll be working on this. And I'm just trying to get rid of this massive chunk of resin on the back of the dreadnought here. Before I go too far into it though, I will check to make sure that how this attaches. Now what would be a good idea is if I had a look at the instructions. Am I going to magnetize? No, I'm not going to magnetize it. I'm just building it as a Death Company dreadnought, so it's it'll all be glued up and it'll be stuck with what it's got. Now what I do want to do is I just want to grab the exhaust off of the gate here. It's a bit of a rough cut, but I just want to see if I line this up to here. So we got a bit of a notch there and a bit of a hole there, and I can see that the bit that I'm cutting there needs to be down flat. Ah, there you are. Ah, yes, you were. You were talking about your Captain Slam. Well, I can go back to him in just a few moments. And I was saying at the beginning of the show is with the Captain Slam, I will be making a post on Facebook and Instagram, so that it's all written down for you to read at your leisure about how he goes in. I am a Blood Angels player, yes I am. But the big 2K build that was just been finished, that everything's plastered all over Facebook and Instagram at the minute, has been a Blood Angels commission that I've just finished. But I am indeed a Blood Angels player. And if I quickly bring Captain Slam back, I'm going to write this down so that you, because I have gone through this already at the top of the show. But we've got, so to start with, we've got a Crackle Paint base. Is the paint right at the bottom. We've got some Plasticast rocks and Angel's Wing. We've got legs, jump pack, head from a Death Company box. The shield and thunder hammer is from a Vanguard veteran box. Get my words out. The pauldron and the torso is from the Blood Angel upgrade sprue. And there was something else. Oh, that was it. His arm here, to get the angle to get it to hold outwards, is actually from a Primaris Intercessor. I think that covers it all. I will write that back down for you, and at the end of the show I'll write a post on both Instagram and Facebook, so that you can actually read that and catch up with that, and be able to build one for yourself. As for Twitch, that's something that my Patreon page is for. One of the very first targets, for want of a better word, to reach is for me to be able to use the program that I use to stream this show here on YouTube. I can subscribe to a monthly fee for this program, and I can stream simultaneously on various platforms, Twitch being one of them. But the first target is for Facebook Live. I mean, I'm not accustomed to Twitch, so I would have absolutely no idea how to use it yet. But once we start reaching higher Patreon levels, it certainly would happen. Twitch, Facebook, and also more regularly is another issue. To be able to film, rather than just doing on a Thursday, I'll be able to stream more regularly on various days of the week, various times of the day, for much more access, basically. And I might even start doing different projects for different shows. But that is now. This is going to be what the Thursday night show is all about, until we finish this project. Which, once this Deaf Company Dread comes together, I don't know what the next project will be. And in fact, I might even let my patrons decide. Right, this isn't working out very well. I'm trying to saw into this. I could really do with having some sort of Dremel or something to do this sort of stuff. And I am creating dust. And if you've never worked with resin before, yeah, don't saw it without a dust mask like I'm doing. This stuff, if it gets in your lungs, you will get very ill. So yeah, don't blow that. I'm actually going to get some kitchen roll, and this is the precautions I'm talking about. If you bear with me, I'm just going to get some kitchen roll, get a wet towel, and I'm just going to mop that up with a wet paper towel, and that way the paper towel will pick up a lot of it. But anything that's still on the desk, anything that's microscopic, is now currently wet, so it can't fly anywhere. Yes, I did see that new Mephisto model from Wargames Exclusive. Yes, I am possibly going to. I am almost definitely going to be looking into buying that. Because I was really hoping that GW would give us a new Mephiston by now, but evidently it's not on their to-do list. It is a very nice model indeed. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be allowed to take it anywhere. Welcome, Steel. Yeah, even with the dust mask. Still always wet cut and sand larger pieces. Yes, definitely. I mean, resin is some pretty nasty stuff, and it is probably best to do that. I'm just going to have a look at the fit on this now. It doesn't seem to want to fit in. I'm wondering. There we go. So that's in there. Right. We have some flash in there that we need to get rid of, so we'll try and clean up the back end of that a bit. Right. What was I going to say? See, James, have you any experience with War Games Exclusive? If anybody's interested, I haven't actually looked at their website. The first time I'd heard about them was when I saw the picture of Mephiston earlier on today. Is there a rough guide of how much that thing's going to cost? I mean, with how much they price their old stuff, or stuff that they've done in the past. I mean, it's a really, really nice looking model, but if you're looking, 60 quid for it, it probably isn't going to be worth it. I wet the sandpaper before I sanded that down, so that's what all that marking is. There's something else you won't actually see me do in the end, is I will be putting this into an ultrasonic cleaner with some water and detergent to get rid of the release agent off of this, because it is straight out of the box, so it is covered in release agent. So I'm not worried too much about getting this clean and getting rid of all the bits and pieces off of it. I just want to make sure I've got no flashing on it. So the back end of that is nice and flat, so we're going to move on to this the engine block here. And see if we can clip off the bits and pieces that are causing it not to want to sit flat against the model. Get rid of these chunks of resin off of here. Now, to try and keep this stuff in shot, I am kind of working a lot further away from the model I am, so this is getting very rough. I usually work a lot closer to my to the models than I am now. So I'm just going to try and make those all flat. We might have to do some green stuff in just to tidy this cutting up. That might not have had to have been done if I'd have paid more attention. Well, all I'm trying to do at the minute is just try and get this to fit against that. Even before it's clean, I'm still trying to see if I need to do anything with it. It would appear it doesn't fit very well. I don't know if there's if the camera angle is, but it appears that I can get that there, but it seems that the back end of the body is a bit prouder than how far these exhaust pipes, or I suppose, want to fit in there. It's not a huge issue, I don't think, and that goes in there nice and flat anyway. If we have a look at that, I think maybe a little bit of green stuff once we build this thing, after I've cleaned it up. Before priming it, maybe a bit of green stuff will go in there before we do. Are yours the same, Reece? So you've had the same issue, the back end is prouder than the pipes want to be. It needs bending, does it? Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. I don't think there's too much of a bother. I think this will be a tabletop model after all, so having that, if I was going to try and enter a competition with it, I would not leave that as it is. But I think for a tabletop model, because I mean, considering if I quickly go jump into my baggie over here, if I can open it up with my slightly wet fingers, there we go. If I tip these out, by the end of the show, hopefully these will all be built, ready for priming. We'll get on with that later. If I grab that arm there, If I just hold that with my fingers, push that on there, hold that with my finger, there we are. So that's going to be what it's going to look like. I mean, if I look underneath it, I'm going to see that there's a bit of a gap. But I think with all the extra bits and pieces this is going to be, and all what you're going to be looking at when you're playing with the model and when you're looking at the photographs, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. So we're going to leave that there. So I'm happy with that. Certainly with the back end. And so we'll carry on cleaning the rest of the body up. Get rid of all the tiny bits of flashing and extra resin. Any mold lines that are on here. Legs the other way. Oh yeah, the legs will go on the other way. I was just holding up to see what the legs would look like if they covered up any of the gap. But I think it will be alright. I don't think we need to worry too much. If I was entering a crystal brush or golden demon, then I might have lost some sleep over it, but I don't think it's worth it. I think this model will look awesome enough. We're just going to make sure there's some very thin resin in here. The mold wasn't 100% sealed, so just get in there and clean that out. So why don't we sound off in the comments anyway? What are people working on either tonight, or what projects have you got on your workbench ready to go? What have we got going on around the hobby community at the moment? Funny enough, as I go around getting these flashing, there really isn't much to do. I mean, there's some of the obvious places where you need to just dig the knife in a little bit, and in fact that's what this is for. Just to poke that out of there, just scratch that into there. I think that's reasonable enough. Soul Wars and Malign Sorcery. You what? You mean there are more companies than Games Workshop that sell miniatures? Smells like heresy to me. Although I really can't talk, was it? I've actually got some Dystopian War stuff to get on with soon. After my holiday, of course. The big 2K builders definitely taking it out of me. Right. So it wasn't. Oh, it's AOS. Oh, right. So it is Games Workshop. Oh, good. It is Games Workshop. There's me thinking they hadn't had a monopoly on the miniature community. The recent box sets. Oh, of course they are. Yeah. I'm not really, my knowledge of AOS is pretty limited, to be honest. I think the only thing I've ever done for AOS has been a bunch of Seraphon. Just when I started out doing commission work, I had somebody wanting about 75 Seraphon. What were they? Were they Seraphon Warriors and Skinks? Oh man, there was loads of them everywhere. It's when I learnt how to dry brush, funnily enough. Up until that point, I did start some Seraphon Warriors. I think he wanted 2 boxes of them, and I think what was it? I think there was 2 boxes of Seraphon Warriors, and I tried layering and highlighting them. That was a big mistake. Right, so that's pretty clean, I think. I'll check those in just a moment. I'm just going to clean up this exhaust section here. Using a knife just to get rid of those chunky bits. One thing I don't like using a knife with resin. A knife tends to bite and then slip all of a sudden when the resin gives way. I think the only time I've ever cut myself when working with a miniature is when that miniature's been made of resin. So just cleaning these up. Don't want to take too much off, otherwise they might not fit. I have to start green stuffing everything. And I do prefer not to green stuff things if I can get away with it. And then we'll just dry fit it again. Yeah, I think that will be fine. There we are. That's going to look alright. Okie dokie. So we're going to move this to one side. Is that an Iron Halo? The reason for that is because it's not going to be a Chaplain Dread. I'm going to put it to one side because that will. It might go on if there's space for it when I do what I want to do later. So we're going to put that to one side and worry about that later. I'll just get working on these legs for now. Chop them out. There's a lot of flashing on this, a lot of stray bits of resin and bits and pieces. These might take a few minutes to clean up. And there is definitely a chunk there that needs chopping off. I don't want no dangly bits of resin between his legs. Like I've already said before, hopefully we'll get round to having this model cleaned up. The plastic parts that I will be using hopefully will be glued together, but the model itself will not be built because obviously I need to clean these as yet, get rid of the release agent that Forge World has on all of the resin. Which I won't be doing that on the live stream because that would be very boring. My girlfriend just pointed out that viewers isn't correctly spelled on behalf of all viewers. Oh, is it really? Right, I tell you what, hang on, which was it? Ah, I before E, look at that. Right, hang on a second, right. Let's have a look, shall I? I'll change that now. I do believe actually Reese mentioned that to me the other day, and I completely forgot about it. So I will change that now. Oops. I pressed the wrong button. There we go. Right, so we'll go along. You guys are super awesome. You did tell me Tuesday that, yeah. So I will change that to I before the E. There we go. And then I will then do that again. There we are. Right. That should be right. There we go. Well, thank you for pointing that out and reminding me. And Reese did tell me earlier on this week, when she absolutely kicked my butt with her Castilian Knight. Captain Slam is not. I have 6 viewers at the moment. One of those viewers is me. So I am watching the show on my computer, so it does count as 1 viewer. But currently I do have 6 according to my little counter, which is nice. And I very much appreciate everybody that's watching. Every time I come live and I've got more viewers than I did the week before, it really does boost me up a bit and keeps me talking, you know. If I've got I have had one, and Reese will account to this because she's been watching from the very beginning, as nay missed an episode. I think he missed maybe 1 or 2 episodes from the very beginning. And when it's just Reese sitting there watching, and I see Reese once a week anyway, and so it's just Reese watching, I run out of things to say. But when I've got 6 people watching at the moment, who may be new people, or well, some of them will be new. They wouldn't have all seen my show before. And it's nice. I get to keep talking, and I get to talk about things, and sometimes I'll repeat myself, as I've said in the previous episodes and stuff. But it's nice, and I do thank you that. You're making your girlfriend watch this. Well, brilliant. Hello, Tim's girlfriend. Thank you for watching. So, I think actually, you know what? I picked these legs up thinking that there was an awful lot of flash on there, but quickly running my knife across it, they've pretty much all just fallen off. Either that, or I've been working on this a lot longer than I think so, and by talking, time is going quickly. I think there is a little bit of silicone knocking about. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. There's that little blue thing. I was trying to dig that out. That's what I was just doing a minute ago, digging that silicone out. It has left a bit of a bubble, but if that shows up later, battle damage. So I thought this was going to take a little bit longer to clean up, but that seems to have come up quite nicely. So we can put that to one side for now, and then we'll move on to these feet, which look reasonably clean to me. So chop these off. It doesn't appear to be a left and a right foot, are they? They are symmetrical, so I don't have to worry about keeping track of which side is which. And if I do, I'll just put them on the model in whichever way they look good. Now, I've already mentioned I will put the way. Let's go grab that. If anybody hasn't worked with Forge World resin before, I don't know if you all have or not. I've mentioned about putting the model into my ultrasonic cleaner to clean off the release agent. I've said it a few times. If you don't have an ultrasonic cleaner, that really isn't an issue. The ultrasonic cleaner just means that I can just put it in there and leave it and not worry about it. To clean off the release agent of Forge World models, you literally just need dishwater, soap, dish soap, and a bit of cold water, or a bit of warm water would do even better. Just give them a rush, get an old toothbrush, wash off the release agent, give it a rinse, just leave it to dry. It comes with experience, because you can't actually see the release agent, but when you pick up a Forge World model and you run your finger across a large section of the model, ironically, if it feels smooth, it's not clean. When you're working with resin, specifically Forge World, I don't know about anywhere else, but if it feels smooth and slightly lubricated as well, is when it's really heavy, it needs to be cleaned. When you've washed it, soap and water, you run your finger over and it feels gritty, it feels rough, and that's how you know that there are no release agents left. And the reason why it's most important that you wash your resin is otherwise your paint will not stick. It will just peel straight off, if it even if it sticks at all. When you try and paint onto resin that's not cleaned properly and it still has release agent, it almost acts like water on a duck's back. It's kind of just pulls itself around, and you will not get a clean finish, and it will not stick either. It'll just eventually, even if you do manage to get the paint to stick, it will just rub straight off, because there is essentially there's a substance between the model and the paint, and so the paint will just come off the model. So yeah, a bit of soap and water is all you need. And even in the ultrasonic cleaner, when I do clean them, that's literally all that goes into the ultrasonic cleaner. Just the act of the extra, the sonic bit just means that I don't have to sit there with a toothbrush to brush it. I can just put it in there for a few cycles and just it'll do it itself, and then I'll just air dry it like normal. They are getting better, although to be fair, the so-called leaflet for this model is a piece of A4 paper. It doesn't even look like they printed it for me. It looks like a photocopy. So there's quality for you. No. Yeah. But even if you were thinking about Forge World, buying Forge World stuff, you just bear in mind you do need to wash it first. And in fact, actually, that looks like I've got another piece of silicone stuck in the foot here. What is that? It looks chalky, actually. I don't know what that is. It's come off. It's an older kit, but it checks out. Oh dear, that was terrible. Yes, it is a bit of an older kit, and it's probably why they stopped making them, because nobody wanted them anymore. Although actually I think perhaps it could just be a case of a resurgence of models. Maybe, I mean, they're knocking a lot of the old stuff on the head, and I think a lot of people are panicking. But overall, I think it might just be that they're refreshing themselves, and unfortunately it just means that they got to knock off the old stuff first. So what I'm going to do is I want to give you guys a look at what this model is going to look like at the end. So I do have some Modeler's Best Friend, a bit of Blue Tack here, or if anybody from over the pond is watching, is Poster Putty, I believe it's called. And we're just going to get this warmed up a bit. And what I want to do is, for you guys watching, I do want you to kind of see this model built by the end of the model. Right, I just put my teeth back in. I do want you guys to see this model kind of built by the time we finish this stream. So I am going to put it together with Blue Tack. That way I can still take it apart when I'm done. There we are, lovely jubbly. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the base on this yet, whether I'm going to put rocks and stuff on it. So for now, he is just going to stand on his base as he is. So we just pop his feet into there. I've noticed, I think you did mention when I bought it. Alright, Tim. Thank you for joining in anyway. Have to take the dog to the health now. The temper's a bit better. We'll watch the rest later. Well, thank you for watching it later. So, I'm going to put some Blue Tack at the bottom of the model. And hopefully this will stick together. I mean, using Blue Tack isn't going to, and also because of the release agent, the Blue Tack doesn't want to stick to the model either. But we're going to give it a good go, see if we can get this working. So we just pop these on here like that. Go on, push down, there we go. Go on, there we are. He stood up, it's brilliant. If I tip it back he'll fall over. Right, and then we'll just stick a little bit on the back of the yeah, go on, get on there. No, don't come back off of me finger. There we go. Right, so stick that on there like that. There we go. Now, I mean, essentially, with the exception of the halo, that's the kit from Forge World. I mean, that's what you get when you buy the model without any arms. I mean, you can't get it now, but I mean, if you find some scalpers on eBay, probably want to sell it to you for about 150 quid. You do get to see this guy in the flesh when he's done, yeah. It's brilliant. But there will be some beautiful pictures of everything when he's done as well, once he's done. And there we go. So I mean, essentially that is the model that you get from Forge World or eBay now. He doesn't come with arms, but that's him built. So we can move on to the arms. Now, what I want to do is, this is the Magna Grapple from the Furiosa Dreadnought. Now, all I've done is clip this off the sprue, so it will need cleaning. But what I want to do is I want to see if we can get this to sit on here. Now, the measurements are not too bad. It will kind of fit. It's not a perfect fit, and we may have to do some jiggery pokery. We may have to just shave some of that plastic down to get him to fit into there, but I think it's doable. Oh, he's come off the base now as well, look at that. But the other thing that I do need to have a look at is at the front end. Where's the bit that I need for that? So at the front end we've got this. Now that needs to glue into there and then sit on there somehow. I mean, he might just about sit behind. He's got this crest thing here. It should fit just behind that. This is fiddly. This is going to get very fiddly very quickly. So I wonder if I just glue that on there now, and then we should be able to play around with this without so this is the Magna Grapple. I can't remember what the rules are for it in 8th edition. I mean, I know it used to allow me to re-roll a charge if I was charging a vehicle in 7th. Was that what it was? Or just add something to it? So that's that glued onto there. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can get that in there. So what do we need to get rid of to make that happen? So it looks like that will fit beside there. It's definitely at the back end here that there's a problem, and there is a bit of a lump in the top of the, so let's just take this off here for a second, see if we can shave this down. To make that fit without slicing my fingers. See, this is what I don't like about working with resin, is that the knife likes to dig in and then suddenly it'll give way as the resin gives way. You see that? Doesn't feel like you've got a lot of control with it. So we're just going to chop into that, and I think Reese is going to be very proud of me for doing this, because essentially what I'm now doing is something that I'm too worried about doing in the past, and that's buying a model to start chopping it up. But that's exactly what I'm doing now. So that will fit in there. You see that? That does fit there. It doesn't quite go all the way down. So what I'm going to do is, on this side I'm going to start shaving away some of this plastic. I've left that. I've left that box so far behind I can't even see the box anymore. I'll be making my own Mephiston, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not quite so sure my my modelling skills are quite up to that yet, but we're certainly certainly would be nice. But it wasn't you, was it, who said it earlier about the? Have you seen the new Mephiston model that has been floating about, the third-party one? It looks amazing. I tell you what I could do is, there's this. Now I'm at an impasse. You see that I can just about fit. I want to squeeze this down the side there, and if I could just make a channel. Yeah, Wargamers, that's the one. Yeah, I mean it looks amazing. I think I might pick that up, and that could be one of the projects that we do. It could be a live show project, depending on how. I mean, if every man and his dog has got one, and they're showing off their models, it might not be worth doing a live project about it. But I mean, if not many people have got it, I tell you what. I've just noticed. Right, if not many people get it, or not many people start showing it off, it might be something I'll do on the live show. But we'll get this one done first, and then see how it goes. I mean, if people like this and they've like the format that we've got, then we'll go for it. So we're just making a groove in the side here. Don't know if you can really see what we're doing here. So we're just making a small groove here for the for these parts of the Magna Grapple to slot into behind these wings of the Dreadnought. Oh, you're on the pre-order list for it. Wow. I didn't realise there was a pre-order list for it. I thought it was only on pre-order next weekend. It does look nice. I mean, the only problem with it obviously is, I mean, I don't play competitively, but it's one of those models that, you know, it'd be nice to own, and with your friends you can play with it. And it does look much better than anything GW has ever done with Mephiston. But you'd never be able to take it to a store and play with it there. Right. Oh, you can message them through Facebook. Oh, right. Do you know how much it is? I mean, it's I've never got anything from them, so I don't know what their prices are like. I mean, it's, yeah, when you're looking at, I mean, Mephiston is what, is it about £15 model, which sucks. I don't mind paying more than that, but you know, if it ends up being, you know, a 70 quid model or something, it might, is it really worth it? In my opinion, anyway. I haven't seen any of their stuff. I've never I mean, it's the first time I've ever heard about them when this Mephiston model all of a sudden just showed up. Earlier on today is the first time I saw it. €28, is that it? I mean, to be fair, it's not that much, was it? I mean, I bought the Everlasting Wet Palette from Redgrass Games, and that was €35, and it came out around about that for the same amount in pound sterling. So might be something I'll look into. Okie dokie. Right, what have I hit there now? So I've hit the top of the sarcophagus with the sticky up bits. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to start cutting the plastic. I'm going to cut part of the model off. Look at me go. I'm destroying a model. But it's going to be a much better one when I'm done. Now, is that going to fit? Come on. Ah, why are you not fitting? What do we have to chop off now? He's also a bit far back as well. There we go. Right, push that back. Come on. I've just noticed though, is this even going to fit? Is the Magna Grapple even going to go on the front there? Yeah, it should be. That'll be fine. So that's what we're going to be doing there. Magna Grapple there. Come on, what do we have to get rid of now to make this fit? I think we have to make those wing bits a bit thinner. So we're going to chop into the model. Oh, so painful. See, because I'm live, I don't normally like doing this. I don't like chopping into the models, but because I'm live, I'm just going for it, you know what I mean? I can't just stop and panic. Just get the knife in there and chop it up. You guys are literally witnessing a learning curve going on right here. I am learning as I'm streaming, which is quite nice, I think. Oh, it's so close. Look at how close that is now. That is almost down. That is almost to the bottom, but I'm hitting the back of that sarcophagus now. So I really do need to start chopping into the back of this model. The sarcophagus here is just too high for the base of this. And it's just getting in there and jutting to the top. So here we go. Let's start chopping into this. If we can score down there. See, one thing I do know though, because of this model and what I'm trying to do to the top of it, and now that I've done it this far, I have to make it work, is that it really doesn't matter how much of a mess I make inside here, because you literally are never going to see it. In fact, that probably will never even see paint. So I'm just going to chop into this now, chop into the top of this sarcophagus, and just gouge out a chunk of this model. It hurts though. Somebody spent a long time designing this model, and now I'm just chopping it up. So here we are. Now I'll try and figure out a way of doing this so you can actually see it. Well, I thank you for the vote of confidence there. It's very nerve-wracking, because I feel that at any moment I'm going to have to run away crying because I've sliced my finger open. But I don't know if you can hear on the camera, on the microphone. It is facing the wrong way. The resin is squeaking as I slide my knife through it. It really is. Oh, there we go. Right, so we took out a chunk of that there. Let's hope that this is closer. It's closer. Is it closer? Oh, it's so close. It's so close. Now, will the Magna Grapple bits fit on there? No, they won't, because that's in the way now. Oh dear, that comes a lot lower than I thought it would have to. Right, so what are we going to do about that? Are we going to... Do I want to chop into that top triangular piece? I don't want to do that. I don't want to chop into that, because that's kind of nice. It's part of the model. That is... You're not quite far forward enough either. Right, so what I do know is that these wing tips are going to have to go. Yeah, the tip here, it's in the way for the Magna Grapple, but the trouble is I'm so far in now. I have this is why I've always worried, I'm always worried about chopping into a model, is because I'm now so far into it that this now needs to go on here, otherwise it's going to start looking rubbish. So I do need to figure out a way of getting this to work. And I think it's what's that called when you've got when you have to have a good idea, so you tend to come up with it. It's innovation through, is it innovation through necessity? And I think that's very, very poignant here, because now I've chopped off the wingtips, I've gouged a big hole in the back there. So if I now make this model without this on top, it's gonna look rubbish. So I have to figure out a way to do it. And I just want to have a look at the back again here a second. Is because what I've got a problem with here is that the plastic lip at the back here is thicker than the ridge of resin here, so that I need to sort something out about that as well, which I will figure that out shortly. It's just trying to lower the front here and get that down there now. Yeah, right. So I think we still need to take a bit of that bit of this sarcophagus out, but I'm now starting to dig into, I might have to get the clippers in here and just start chopping the inside of this up. All of these, and this is where obviously this is what I'm talking about. This is now definitely beyond the point of no return in terms of not doing what I wanted to do. I now have to do it, otherwise there's going to be chunks of this model that just look terrible. So if anybody, while you're watching this, if anybody has any ideas, I'm open to suggestions. If you see what the issue I'm having is and you might have an idea, feel free to shout them out. You know, I might be doing the work, but I'm open to suggestions. Although that sounded more like a plea than an invitation, didn't it? Right. Now I think if I run my nail file along the base of this, lower that down a bit, so I'm taking a lot of material out of the Dreadnought, but then realise that this is quite tall as well. So if I run that down a bit, like so. So we've run that down a bit, that's a bit thinner there. It looks like I know what I'm doing. Looks is being the operative word there. Right. I think what I might do is, I mean, the thing is, what I'm going to have to do with this model is I will glue it off of camera. I'll do what I can on the show, but because it needs cleaning, I'll glue it together away from the show. And what I might have to do is, I think I'll have to green stuff that in before I prime it, just to fill some of these gaps in there, which again I'll have to do that off camera, and then when I come back next time I'll let you know where where I did anything. I mean, that's on now. So, but the thing is, what really does worry me now is that the actual magnet part of the magnet grapple doesn't quite fit in there very well. Where's the other one? Yeah, the tip of the that pointy bit there is really in the way, and I don't want to get rid of it. I really don't want to chop that down. But I don't know, maybe that's okay. You do go in there. Yeah, okay, maybe we can live with that. Just push that in there, green stuff around there. Well, by George, I think that has got it. Add that to that. Yeah, I think that will be alright actually. There we go. So I think I cracked it there. There we are. So, after all of that, now what I do need to do with the plastic part of this model is I'm going to attach the body back to those legs over there, and now I actually need to clean this off like you do with any other plastic model. I've got some sprue connections here that need coming off, and go around with any mould lines and so on and so forth. So yeah, once the model's cleaned, I'll glue this onto the top there properly, and then green stuff any gaps. And next time you see this, it'll be primed and base coated, or at least the black will be. Everything else I'll try and make sure I do on camera, because that's the whole point of doing this live show. This idea about having the live shows as purely a project thing is so that you're not going to get massive jumps in continuity, or even, you know, I remember I tried doing something a little while back, didn't I? I started on something, and then the next time you saw the show, I was doing something completely different, because I'd painted it in the week that I was away, or in the week between the show and the new live show. So that's the whole point. So you shouldn't get massive jumps in continuity with this. You will see the whole thing from start to finish, minus the airbrushing. Even to the slightly boring bits of cleaning off the mould lines. And then of course, you know, sometimes the camera angle isn't brilliant, maybe the internet's not working very well. You will be able to still follow along at the end of the show. You check out the Instagram and my Facebook pages, which will be going across the bottom of the screen at any moment. You'll be able to follow along what I've managed to achieve between each show, or more to the point, during the show you'll be able to see them. And then as we start drawing to the end, now this is something else, as we start drawing to the end of each project, my patrons over on my Patreon page will actually be able to decide what the next project will be. So as an idea, you can join Patreon over on my page from as little as $1 a month. It just helps me build this business and this channel, help me build it up slowly over time. So you can go check that out. And what I'm going to do now, right, so I can glue this this plastic together, but I do need it to be glued on while it's attached to the model. So I'm going to push that onto where it's going to be, and then push that into place. There we are, like that. And then I'll try and do the same thing for the other one. And we'll squeeze that onto there. Will that go on? Something like that. There we are. I don't think that looks too terrible. I mean, that will need to be squeezed onto there and gaps to be filled, but that looks okay. Now we're going to move on to so these are Furioso arms. I haven't glued them together. Wait, there we are. So, oh wow, is it 10 to 8 already? This show's going really well. I hadn't noticed the time. I think we'll try and carry on. Usually I'll finish about 8, but I want to try and carry on past 8 today to try and see if we can get this finished. But we're working on the plastic now, so it should go by much quicker, so we can try and get this thing finished, ready for washing by the end of the show, and that means that the picture will look really nice on Facebook and Instagram, so you'll get to see what it looks like. Off. There we are. Alright, so that's that bit done. And one of the biggest problems I have with these Furioso arms is they're real fiddly to kind of glue them together. Because you've got to try and twist them into where they need to be, which is a bit of a pain. We should be able to get it done right. Just clean those mold lines off, and then what we need to do, so we need to hook the wire at the back there and then try and twist the rest of the body into shape, into place. When you do it dry and then it pops into place. Right, where does the wire go? The wire goes in there. So we will add a touch of glue in there, like so, and then we'll glue the arm is here, that goes on there, and then that sits on the inside, so we'll just run a little bit of glue on the inside there, like so, and then we put the wire in there, twist it around and slot into place, and then the wire comes out. Right, come on, there we go. Stick my fingers to it. Good start. There we go. Just like that. Right, and then underneath that, or on that I should say, we have the what is this? This is his hand. And I need to glue the fingers onto this hand first, which is a small thumb. These are a pair of blood talons, not Furioso fists, so we have to get this right. Furioso fist has 4 of these shorter ones, if you didn't know, whereas the blood talons are a short thumb, which goes into that section there, which is all by itself. You've got 3 grouped there and then 1 on the bottom. So just add a touch of glue on there. Wait. So find the one that's on its own at the bottom there, and then the thumb gets glued into place there, like so, and grab the blood talons, which are actually really sharp, so just bear in mind with that one. That point is really sharp. I've just had a question come through on a post that I've put on Facebook, and I'll answer it here. I may as well. I will answer to the person on Facebook. Somebody's asked me that they like the weathering effect that I did on the legs and feet of the Blood Angels, so the big 2K build that I built. He's asking him, did I use GW base paint on them as well, or a weathering powder? And the trick to the weathering, and if you have a look at the at my Facebook page, you'll see all the Blood Angels that I've done recently. The trick to weathering infantry and also tanks is it's purely dry brushed. Once I've built the model, and I will glue it, I'll do the same thing with this as well. I glue the model to the base, and then I'll do my base on top. I put texture paint, crackle paint, or whatever it is I do onto it, so that the model looks like it's sunk into the ground a little bit. And then, because, you know, as with everything, you need to highlight it, so I will highlight my crackle paint with just dry brushing, and I use GW's dry paint. And then as you're dry brushing the base, you'll inevitably, and well, you cannot not get paint onto the feet of the model. And then all you need to do is just yeah, give the feet a dry brush while you're at it, and go up the leg a little bit, getting lighter and lighter as you go. So there's a little tip for you. And it just helps when you do things like that. It just helps tie your models to the surroundings that they're on. You can do some fantastic base work, and you could spend hours and hours and hours making a base, and which you could do. I mean, it's certainly your efforts are noticeable when you do spend time doing your bases as much as you do for the model. But then, you know, it's no good just spending hours and hours and hours making a base for your model if all you're going to do is just pin your model to the base and then leave it at that. But if you tie your model into the base by giving your base a final dry brush and going up the legs of your model a little bit, you know, with a bit of mud or a bit of dust, and just ties the model into the surroundings that it's in, you know, you could spend hours and hours and hours doing a base, hours and hours and hours doing a model, and if you spend just a couple of minutes on both of them when they're together, it's you're really going to make it really does make a difference. So that answers the question that came through on Facebook, and I will go back and I'll answer him, because he's probably not watching here now anyway. So that's a Furioso hand. Now what we can do is I'm going to have a quick look at the model here, and I want to see what's going to... The arms are a bit loose. The arms are probably going to have to get glued on when they're done. But I think I want the thumb to be pointing in a little bit like that. Lift his arm up a little bit and point his thumb in. So that's how I want to do it. So I will attach a touch of glue around here, just a little bit, and then glue that in like so. Grabbed a little bit too much glue, there we go. There we are. And then underneath this arm we will sling a melter gun. Just clean that off. There we are. I think it's nice we're going over a bit of the usual time limit today. I said at the beginning of the show I won't be here next week. I'm away. So if I give you a nice long one today, it'll make up for me not being here next week. Hopefully that sounds good to you guys. Now I'm not sure where my drill has gone. See if I can find it. It seems to have vanished somewhere. Somebody's ran off with it. Here it is. Is that the right size to go in there? Yeah, that looks okay. And that's the other reason why I made sure I knew where this was, which is my pointy stick. I want to find the centre of the melter gun. Doesn't have to be exact, as long as it looks about right, you'll be alright. Stick that in there. Is that the centre? Somewhere about there. Give it a push, dent the plastic. Yeah, it's not quite central. Let's come across a little bit about there. Yeah, there we go, that'll do. And then we drill into that a little bit. Always drill your barrels. It's not a rule, but it certainly does make your guns look nicer when they've actually got a hole in them like that. It's only a few turns, but and then we want to just pop in. That goes on like that. So we're just going to pop on a little bit of glue here, and then just touch a bit of glue on the top here along there. Glue that into there like that. There we are. Bring him, oh no, and then what we need to do is I want to add that onto there, which is just some sort of guard thing. It just adds some detail. The one of the things that this model doesn't have is textured crosses. You're not feeling this, Apothecary. Second time trying to paint him. Primaris aren't working for you. Primaris are a bit hit and miss, I think. Yeah, I mean it was difficult. The Primaris Apothecary was quite a challenge when I did mine. I mean I was doing him just after I had a resurgence of getting things done, so I think I had that behind me. But yeah, the Primaris stuff can be a bit hit and miss as to whether it just brings you down or whether it's because they're very, I don't know, they're very, what's the words, they're good for one thing, and that's about it, you know. And so you got your models and they're on the table, and your Primaris will either work or they won't. And that's not really what you want with a model, is it? You want to be able to kind of rely on them to do what you want them to do. we're just going to wrap a bit of blue tack around there. And then add the model to there. Lift his arm up a bit. There we go. There we are, he's coming together nicely. Let's do the other arm. He's leaning a bit forward though, all that blue tack's not holding him up. He's falling over and lolling over a bit. Stand up straight, man. There we go. You might be old and fallen to the black rage, but it's no excuse. Stand up. Right. Maybe you should paint him next week when I'm painting this. It'll feel better. Maybe you'll feel better after when I'm painting rather than building. So here we go, and we're. You see, this has come out. This is really clean, actually. There's really no mould lines. I do like the Dreadnought arms. They're really. They've done the mould quite well with this. You see, there's a lot of moulds that you look at it and go, why did you put a mould line right along there? Such as Primaris Marines, actually. That the Primaris Marines really do my head in, because they've got the mould lines right up the leg, right up the centre of the leg, and it's really annoying. I mean, this model, for argument's sake, I mean, it's got one going along there, but it's really simple to get rid of, and they've really thought about it. Whenever whoever it is that designed the model, they've done a good job. I just hate it when you get some of these models and they're just terribly designed. Terribly designed. So we're just going to pop some glue on here, glue this arm together. And I think once this model's together, once he's blue tacked, I think we'll call it for the show. It's been an amazing show tonight. I'm really happy with the amount of people we've had. Gonna do Helverins next. Helverins? I have no idea what they are. I'll Google it later, or have a look on GW website. Get that arm done, find the thumb socket which is down there, and then find the thumb. There's that. Daka chick. Oh, of course, yes. That's the one. Yeah, the armigers with the armigers with the guns, as opposed to the. Yes, they're the ones. Yeah, you did mention them the other day on Tuesday, didn't you? Yeah. Maybe that'll be another project for the future on the live shows as well. Maybe I'll do some nights. I mean, I won't do night after night, and I've just done I'm doing a Dreadnought now, so it might not be the next one that I do. We'll try and change them up. And like I said, the patrons will get to decide what goes on. Within reason. I mean, there'll probably be a multiple choice thing. But feel free in the comments to throw some suggestions down before it gets decided what's done next. I mean, I know we've only just started this one, but you can't be too prepared, especially if I've got to go out and buy the models. But also, what sort of things, throw them in the comments, what sort of things would do you think would make a good series of live streams? I mean, don't forget, I mean, if we could be working on this model for maybe a couple of weeks, you know, a couple of live shows, maybe a few more, maybe four live shows or so, depending on how we go along and how it works. And I did mention earlier, I mean, I might try and do some new techniques, such as things like wet blending and things. But if I do start doing that, we've got to be careful about what models it is I do, because of you know, the time it takes to wet blend. If you're watching every single minute of every single model, and I'm wet blending, you could end up spending about 6 weeks watching me wet blend a couple of wings on a flying hive tyrant or something. Could take a while. Limited release models, limited release characters. Do you mean things like birthday models and things from GW, or literally things that are, you know, they release them for a limited amount of time? Getting ready to put the last finger on this guy. Forge World. If I do a lot of Forge World models, it's gonna be quite costly. So I think, I mean, if it's something that we need, if Forge World is something that is wanted, then there definitely needs to be a insurgence of Patreon supporters to help support the channel and support the payments of buying such expensive models. So I forgot to get rid of this tag up here. But if it's something that's wanted, we can definitely do Forge World stuff. I mean, I had ideas of doing the Primarchs. I do want to get the Primarchs. There's certainly, I'm thinking about adding some Salamanders to my already growing Blood Angels army. So doing the Primarchs and getting a Vulcan done, that sounds like fun. Pop on the pop on that. Just give that a second to go. There we are. We'll add on the shield. And it will be something to notice as well. I do check my phone as I'm going along live streaming, and if anybody does want to support me on Patreon, if you do it during a live stream, I should get a notification of it, and you get a shout out. Reese gets a shout out at the beginning of every episode because she's awesome and was my very first Patreon. And we'll just get this final part of the model done now. The heavy flamer on the Dreadnoughts, they do have some nasty mould lines on them. They're right the way around the model. Right the way around the piece. And I think my knife is just about coming to the end of its life as well. After digging out all of that resin, my knife is definitely feeling the strain. So it's even having difficulty getting rid of these mould lines, I think. So that'll be the first thing I do when I hit the end button. We'll be changing the blade in this knife. And we'll just come around the back there. And what I will do, guys, I mean, I did say about you'll see this thing start to finish, and you will do. I mean, I'll go and prime it obviously away from camera, but what I will do is just before I prime it, I will give this the thing a once over without lights and cameras in the way, just to make sure I haven't missed anything, because the last thing I want to do is get to the painting stage of this and realise that I've got a thumping great mould line right in the way because I couldn't see it because my light was in the way. So I will do things like that away from the camera, away from the live stream. But on the whole, next time you see this, it should be in virtually the same condition than the last time you see it, with the exception of priming it. So here we go. Pop that in there. Pop some glue on the front. It's so warm in here that the blue tack isn't holding this model together very well. But there we go. We'll give it a darn good go to show you this model. Whoops. And pop that on there like so. Just get the blue tack, stick it there, stick that on the back. Come on, you've fallen off. Go on, stick back on there. There we go. Right, let's see if I can pick this up without it falling apart. There we go. What do we think, guys? There we are. One Chaplin Dread that is now going to become a Death Company Dread. I think that works quite nicely, doesn't it? Hopefully, with any luck, that will come together. It will look like it. Hopefully, by the time we finish this, it will look like a Death Company Dread, only it'll be a bit different. I mean, that's the plan. And we'll get him glued together. I'll get him, so basically I'll go away and I'll get him primed, I'll get him base coated, and then that sort of stuff away from camera. Things that I can't do in front of the camera because of you know, logistics of it all. But I think he looks quite nice, doesn't he? He's really nice. So I think I'm going to call it a night tonight, guys. It's 20 past 8 and it's been a fantastic show tonight, and I'm really thankful for everybody who joined in, and everybody who joined in the comments. Steel, Tim, Reese, Basic, you were joining at one point, and I've forgotten your screen name, but I think it was Christopher, wasn't it? Thank you for joining in the comments. It's brilliant. I like having people talking when I'm working, because obviously if nobody's talking down there, I'm just concentrating on what I'm doing, so it can kind of be a bit of a quiet show. So like I said earlier on in the show, there will be, if I grab him, there will be a post popping up on Facebook and Instagram with a written down recipe for building your own Slamguinius. Specifically this one, and also I might even do one for my personal Slamguinius, so you can make your own and go from there. There will be a picture of this guy. I'll make sure he's cooled down a bit with the blue text not falling apart. I'll grab a picture of him and you guys can watch, have a look at how that looks like, and away from cameras and moving around and fingers and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that's the end of this show. Now there won't be one next week. I've said plenty of times I'm away on holiday, but I'll still be about. If you want to send me a message, I might not be able to get back to you straight away, but any messages or comments, or you want to ask me something, feel free, send them to me, and when I've got some time, at the end of the day or whatever, I'm sure I'll get back to you during the week. I'm not, I haven't left the planet. So feel free to do that, and in the meantime, check out Facebook and Instagram for all of my updates as and when things get updated. And if you do want to support the channel, like we've been talking about earlier, about buying in some characters that we'll do for these live shows that you'll see on these live shows getting painted from start to finish, feel free, check out Patreon. And see if it's something you want to get involved with as well. So I'm going to leave you now with a quick slideshow of some of the models of the 2K build that I did show at the beginning of the stream, and I'll go through some more of those and you can have a look at them. And yeah, so I'll say thank you very much for joining in. It's been a fantastic show this week. I think I've hit my record number of viewers so far, and then hopefully next stream it'll be even better. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Alright guys, so enjoy these pictures, and I'll catch you in the next one. Alright, see you later.